He was sent to kill her, but one touch made him break every alien law. Collision of worlds. The shimmering azure atmosphere of Proxima Station cast an ethereal glow across Commander Leora Drave's obsidian skin as she surveyed the crowded reception hall. Her deep violet eyes, a genetic mark of Navorian elite warriors, scanned methodically for her target. 3 weeks of meticulous planning had led to this moment. Infiltrate, eliminate, evacuate. Simple, clean. The way she'd executed 24 previous missions. "Commander, your diplomatic credentials are cleared for all sectors," murmured Lieutenant Vex, her subordinate whose emerald scales glinted beneath the station's ambient lighting. "The human delegation is expected to arrive in approximately 20 minutes. Leora nodded, the motion barely perceptible. "Maintain surveillance positions. Remember, this is officially a diplomatic exchange." Unofficially, she left the sentence hanging. "Understood, Commander." Vex slipped away, melting into the crowd of interplanetary dignitaries like a shadow. The Proxima Conference represented the pinnacle of galactic diplomacy, a rare gathering where 12 major species convened under tenuous peace accords. For the Navorian Empire, spanning 17 star systems with ruthless efficiency, it was primarily an intelligence-gathering opportunity. But today, Leora had more specific instructions. Dr. Theo Harrison, Earth's leading quantum physicist, creator of the Harrison fusion matrix, a technology that could render the Navorian fuel monopoly obsolete overnight. A technology that, according to Imperial intelligence, could destabilize economies across 3 sectors of space. Leora's orders from High Command had been explicit. All evidence must point to natural causes. No diplomatic incidents. The survival of our economic sphere takes precedence over all other considerations. She adjusted the ceremonial daggers at her hip, ornamental to the untrained eye, but lethal in her hands. The toxin coating their blades would mimic cardiac arrest in human physiology. By the time anyone realized Dr. Harrison was dead, she would be halfway back to Navorian space. The announcement system chimed softly. Earth delegation arriving at Docking Bay 7. Leora moved toward the eastern corridor, her formal military attire, sleek black with silver insignia, denoting her elite status. Parting the crowd effortlessly. Beings from across the galaxy knew better than to impede a Navorian commander. The Earth delegation emerged from the corridor with predictable human fanfare. Flags, formal introductions, the theatrical nonsense her people had always found wasteful. Leora positioned herself casually by a refreshment station, observing. And then she saw him. Dr. Theo Harrison looked nothing like his intelligence profile. Where she'd expected a frail academic, she found a man of commanding presence. Tall for a human, with warm brown skin and keen hazel eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. His diplomatic uniform, navy blue with silver trim, couldn't disguise the athletic build beneath. But it was his expression that caught her attention, alert yet relaxed, confident without arrogance. Leora found herself momentarily disconcerted. She had studied his research papers, memorized his schedule, knew his security team's rotations by heart, but nothing had prepared her for the immediate sense of recognition. She shook off the sensation. Emotional responses had no place in Imperial operations. "Commander Drave." A diplomatic aide approached, breaking her concentration. "The Terran-Navorian exchange is scheduled in 10 minutes in Chamber 3. Perfect. The exchange session would provide the private access she needed. Thank you. I will represent the Empire with honor." As she moved toward the chamber, she felt someone watching her. Turning slightly, she locked eyes with Dr. Harrison. For 3 seconds, she counted precisely. Neither looked away. Something electric and unfamiliar crackled in that brief connection, before he inclined his head in subtle acknowledgement and turned back to his conversation. Chamber 3 was designed for intimate diplomatic exchanges, soundproofed, secure, and freed from surveillance. As Leora entered, she noted the single exit, the crystalline table, the absence of guards. Imperial intelligence had been thorough in selecting this location. Commander Drave, I presume. Dr. Harrison's voice was deeper than she'd anticipated, with a measured cadence that suggested careful thought before speaking. Dr. Harrison. She executed the formal Navorian greeting, right fist against left shoulder. The Empire extends its curiosity regarding your technological advancements. He smiled, surprising her. That's refreshingly direct. Most diplomats I've met today have taken 20 minutes to say essentially nothing. Navorians value efficiency. So I've heard. He gestured to the table. Shall we dispense with pretense then? You're not here for diplomatic exchange. Lyora's hand moved imperceptibly closer to her daggers. Explain. Your empire sent you because of my fusion matrix. His eyes held hers steadily. A technology that threatens to make Navorian fuel crystals obsolete. I'm either here to be threatened or eliminated. She should strike now, she thought. His awareness changed nothing about the mission parameters. Yet she found herself saying, "You seem unconcerned by this possibility." "Oh, I'm concerned," he replied, moving to the viewport where Proxima's rings created a spectacular backdrop. "But I'm also curious. Did your superiors show you the complete research?" "I reviewed all relevant intelligence, but not the research itself." He turned, his expression serious. "The Harrison Matrix isn't meant to destroy the Navorian economy, Commander. It's designed to transform it." Lyora maintained her neutral expression, though confusion flickered briefly. "Clarify." Instead of speaking, Harrison extended his hand, palm up. In it lay a small crystalline device. "May I show you?" Caution warned against allowing him closer, but curiosity, a trait her combat instructors had always criticized, pushed her forward. "Proceed." He activated the device. Above his palm, a holographic display materialized. Complex equations, molecular structures, energy conversion ratios. Lyora recognized elements of quantum mechanics intertwined with principles even Navorian science hadn't fully explored. "The matrix doesn't replace fuel crystals," he explained, moving a finger through the projection to highlight specific formulas. "It enhances them. Under current methods, your crystals operate at roughly 40% efficiency. With this interface," he manipulated the display again, "we can boost that to over 90%. Lyora studied the equations, her scientific training, mandatory for all Navorian commanders, allowing her to grasp the implications. "You're suggesting collaboration rather than competition." "Exactly." His eyes lit with intensity. Navorian crystals combined with Earth fusion technology could revolutionize interstellar travel. Both our peoples would benefit. She circled the display, analyzing it from all angles. The science appeared sound. If true, this wasn't a threat to the Empire, but an opportunity. Why had Imperial intelligence misrepresented this? Unless, who else knows about these applications? She asked sharply. "I've tried to present this to your science ministry 3 times. Each request was blocked." His expression darkened. Someone doesn't want this collaboration to happen. Political sabotage. Lyora's mind raced through possibilities. Certain factions within the Imperial hierarchy benefited from maintaining tension with Earth. This technology would undermine their power base. "Your life is in danger," she said abruptly, surprising herself with the warning. "Not just from me." Harrison nodded slowly. "I suspected as much when my last 2 research assistants had accidents." Decision time. Her orders were clear. The proper action was to complete her mission, return to Navorian space, and report the discrepancy in intelligence. The Empire would sort out the political implications. Instead, she deactivated her wrist communicator, the action that would have signaled Vex to secure their extraction. "Why did you trust me with this information?" she asked. "I could still carry out my orders." "You could," he agreed. "But you haven't. Not yet. That proves nothing." Harrison stepped closer, close enough that she could detect the faint scent of some earth spice on his clothing. "When our eyes met earlier, I saw something I didn't expect in a Navorian assassin." And what was that? Her voice remained even despite her increasing pulse rate. Integrity, he said simply. You believe you're serving your empire. What would you do if you learned someone was using you as a pawn in their political game? Before she could respond, her secondary communicator vibrated against her wrist. The emergency channel. She checked it, her expression hardening. What is it? Harrison asked. A Navorian battle cruiser just entered the system. Unauthorized. She met his eyes. They're not here for diplomacy. Another assassin. In case you failed. Worse. Lyora activated the chamber's security panel, locking them in. A cleansing protocol. They'll eliminate everyone who's had contact with your research, including me now. Harrison processed this with remarkable calm. Options. Lyora found herself admiring his pragmatism under pressure. We have approximately 20 minutes before they dock. We need to get you and your research off this station. Not just me, he countered. Us. You're marked now, too. She almost smiled at his concern. Unexpected from a human she'd been sent to kill. First, we need to understand who gave the cleansing order. This violates at least 7 Imperial protocols. As she spoke, she removed her ceremonial daggers, offering one handle first to Harrison. Can you use this? He accepted it with surprising competence. I grew up on a frontier colony. We didn't have the luxury of being purely academic. Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Lyora felt an unmistakable jolt, like static electricity, but deeper, resonating through her core. From Harrison's momentary wide-eyed reaction, he'd felt it too. An ancient Navorian legend flashed through her mind, the story of soul recognition, when warriors encountered their destined bondmate. She had always dismissed it as romantic nonsense. What was that? He whispered. A complication, she replied crisply, pushing the sensation aside. We need to move. Lieutenant Vex can be trusted. She'll help extract us. But first, she turned to him, her expression severe. If we survive this, Dr. Harrison, your research could either bring our worlds together or tear them apart. Which outcome are you working toward? He held her gaze unflinchingly. Peace, Commander Drave. Always peace. Something shifted in Lyora's perception, as if pieces of a puzzle she hadn't known she was solving suddenly aligned. In that moment, she made a decision that would violate every oath she'd sworn to the Empire. Then let's ensure you live to see it happen, she said, unlocking the chamber door. Stay close. And Dr. Harrison. Yes? Call me Lyora. As they slipped into the corridor, alliance forming between former enemies, neither could have predicted how their unexpected connection would soon challenge the foundations of 2 civilizations, or how the touch of hands passing a blade would ignite a bond forbidden by both their worlds. Forbidden bond. The maintenance tunnels of Proxima Station hummed with the dull throbbing of life support systems, a labyrinthine network designed for service droids and emergency evacuations. Now they served as a makeshift escape route for 2 unlikely allies. 3 levels down, then east toward the auxiliary docking bays, Lyora instructed, her violet eyes penetrating the dim lighting with natural Navorian night vision. Lieutenant Vex will meet us with clearance codes. Theo Harrison kept pace beside her, his scientific mind cataloging everything. The station's infrastructure, the determined set of Lyora's obsidian features, the inexplicable connection he'd felt when their hands touched. As a physicist, he understood that some phenomena defied immediate explanation. Your lieutenant, he ventured. Are you certain of her loyalty? To me, yes. To the Empire. Lyora paused at a junction, checking for patrol signals. Vex comes from a frontier world. She's seen how Imperial policies affect ordinary lives. Her loyalty is to principles, not politics. The station's alert system suddenly blared to life, echoing through the tunnels. A calm, automated voice announced, Security Protocol Alpha initiated. All delegates return to designated chambers. This is not a drill. They're moving faster than I anticipated, Lyora murmured, quickening her pace. A cleansing team is already aboard. How many? Standard protocol would be 6 operatives. Elite hunters. Her expression darkened. I trained some of them. They reached a maintenance hatch. Lyora pressed her palm against the scanner, overriding it with an emergency command code. The panel slid open, revealing a narrow passage dimly lit by emergency lighting. Your empire seems determined to prevent our collaboration, Theo observed, following her through. The question is why. My research would benefit both our species. Politics rarely aligns with progress, Lyora replied. The current imperial regent, Derok, built his power base on anti-Earth sentiment after the Titan conflict. Peace would undermine his authority. And you're willing to defy him? Your own leader. She stopped abruptly, turning to face him. My oath is to protect the Empire's future, not its present corruption. Something in her intensity caught Theo off guard. This wasn't just a soldier following a moral compass. There was personal conviction in her voice. Before he could inquire further, the sound of footsteps reached them. Lyora pushed him against the wall, her body shielding his in the shadows as a patrol passed nearby. For those tense seconds, pressed together in silence, Theo became acutely aware of her. The controlled rhythm of her breathing, the subtle warmth radiating from her skin, despite her cool exterior, the strange resonance that seemed to pulse between them wherever they touched. There it is again, he whispered once the danger passed. Focus, Doctor, she replied, stepping away though her eyes lingered on his. We're still in danger. They continued through the passage until reaching a small antechamber, where Lieutenant Vex waited, her emerald scales tense with alertness. Commander, she greeted, then eyed Theo suspiciously. The human lives. I assume the mission parameters have changed. Significantly, Lyora confirmed. The research was misrepresented. And now a cleansing team has been deployed without proper authorization. Vex's expression hardened. Commander Zorik leads them. He requested our position 3 minutes ago. I provided false coordinates, but he'll realize the deception soon. Zorik? The name seemed to strike Lyora personally. This is worse than I thought. Former comrade. Theo guessed. Former everything, she replied tersely. He commands the Imperial Special Directive now. If he's here personally, this goes higher than regional politics. Vex produced a small communication device. I've secured an unmarked shuttle at Auxiliary Bay 4. Captain Niraj's cargo vessel leaves for the Earth outpost on Ganymede in 20 minutes. He owes me a favor. He'll transport you. Lyora clasped her lieutenant's forearm in a warrior's grip. You've committed treason for this. I've upheld honor, Vex corrected firmly. There's a difference. A distant explosion rocked the station, the shockwave reverberating through the structure. They're creating a diversion, Lyora explained, unholstering her sidearm. Standard cleansing procedure. Chaos masks precision elimination. Theo realized with sudden clarity what was happening. They're willing to risk an interstellar incident just to stop my research. Not just your research, Vex said grimly. There's more. She glanced at Lyora. The commander should know. Lyora nodded sharply. Quickly, then. The Imperial Science Ministry began receiving your transmission requests months ago, Vex explained to Theo. Initial analysis confirmed your findings about enhanced crystal efficiency. A collaborative research team was being assembled when Regent Derek intervened personally. Why? Theo pressed. The Regent's family controls 70% of crystal mining operations throughout Navorian space, Lyora continued. Your innovation would reduce demand by more than half. Their power comes from scarcity. Another explosion, closer this time. The station's lighting flickered. But that's just economics, Theo argued as they began moving again. Why a cleansing team? Why this level of response? Lyora's expression turned grim. Because your research revealed something else. Something in the crystal composition that shouldn't be there. Understanding dawned on Theo's face. The neural dampening compound. You knew. Lyora stopped, genuinely surprised. I suspected, he admitted. The crystals emit a low-level frequency that affects specific neural pathways, particularly those associated with independent thought and emotional bonding. It's subtle but cumulative. The effect would be most pronounced on species with regular exposure. Like Navorians, Vex added quietly. Our entire civilization runs on these crystals. Leora's voice held controlled fury. Our homes, our ships, our communication systems. We've been systematically pacified. Theo finished. For generations, if my analysis is correct. The implications hung heavily between them. Everything Leora had believed about her people, their natural stoicism, their disciplined emotional control, might be partially manufactured. A method of population control disguised as cultural identity. The auxiliary bay is just ahead, Vex interrupted, practical despite the revelation. I'll create a distraction at the main junction. That should draw Zorik's team away long enough for you to board. And you? Leora asked. I'll follow on the next transport. Less suspicious if we're separated. Vex handed Leora a data crystal, complete research files, including evidence of the compound's deliberate addition to mining operations 30 years ago, under Daruk's father's orders. As Vex prepared to leave, she hesitated, then addressed Theo directly. Human, the commander has forsaken everything for this truth, for your safety. Remember that. With that, she disappeared down a side passage, leaving them alone again. She's right, Theo said quietly as they approached the bay doors. You've given up everything. Not everything, Leora replied, her eyes meeting his with unexpected warmth. Perhaps I've gained something more valuable. Before Theo could respond, the station's security system announced, unauthorized vessel approaching Auxiliary Bay 4. Security teams respond. Leora cursed under her breath. Zorik's team. They've traced us. She pulled Theo into an alcove, quickly assessing options. The shuttle Vex arranged is our only way out, but they'll be waiting. What about a different approach? Theo suggested, mind racing. My research, the Harrison Matrix, it doesn't just enhance crystal efficiency. It can also temporarily reverse the polarity of energy systems, including station security grids, Leora realized, following his thinking. Can you do it remotely? With access to a control terminal. He gestured to a maintenance panel nearby. You have 3 minutes, she said, taking up a defensive position. Theo worked with practiced efficiency, connecting his personal device to the station's systems. His fingers flew across the interface, bypassing security protocols. Leora, he said without looking up, if we survive this, when we survive this, there's something we need to discuss. This connection between us. The soul recognition, she supplied, surprising him. An ancient Navorian belief. When two beings are destined to create something greater together than they could alone. Is that what you believe is happening? Her eyes met his briefly. I was taught such things were myths. But I was also taught the Empire stands for progress and truth, so perhaps my education was incomplete in multiple areas. The interface beeped, indicating success. Theo smiled triumphantly. Got it. On my signal, every security system in this sector will reverse polarity for exactly 47 seconds. The bay doors will open, but anyone using Navorian identification signatures will be locked out. Impressive, Leora acknowledged. Ready when you are, Doctor. Theo, he corrected softly. If we're potentially soul-bound, you should use my name. Something almost like a smile touched her lips. Ready when you are, Theo. He activated the sequence. Immediately, the station around them plunged into momentary darkness before emergency systems engaged. The bay doors slid open, revealing their escape shuttle, and the 4 Navorian operatives converging on it. Now, Leora urged, pulling him forward. They raced across the open space, Leora's superior reflexes allowing her to intercept the first operative who broke through the confusion. Her movements were precise, economical, neutralizing rather than killing her former comrade with a series of strikes that left him unconscious. Theo reached the shuttle first, initializing the launch sequence while Leora engaged a second operative. Through the viewport, he could see two more figures struggling against the security lockout at the far entrance. One of them looked up, locking eyes with Leora even across the distance. Even Theo could sense the recognition, the history between them. Zorik. Lyra dispatched her opponent with a final strike, then backed toward the shuttle, never breaking her visual connection with the commander in the distance. "He won't stop," she said as she boarded, the doors sealing behind her. "This isn't just a mission for him. It's personal now." The shuttle's engines engaged, pulling them away from the station as override alerts blared. Theo initiated the stealth protocols Vex had prepared, and within moments, they were accelerating toward the rendezvous point with Captain Niraj's vessel. In the sudden quiet of space, the adrenaline of their escape began to fade, leaving them with the weight of all that had happened, and all that was still to come. "The neural compound," Theo finally said, breaking the silence. "With my research and your insider knowledge, we could develop a counteragent. Free your people from this manipulation. It would mean open rebellion against the Regent," Leora noted, though her tone suggested she'd already accepted this path. "Civil war, possibly. Or reformation," Theo countered. "If enough people learn the truth, change could come peacefully." "You're an optimist. I'm a scientist. I believe in possibility." Leora studied him, her violet eyes reflecting the starfield visible through the viewport. 24 hours ago, I was sent to kill you. Now we're planning to reshape my civilization together. And possibly reshape the relationship between our species," he added, moving closer. "This connection between us, I've never experienced anything like it." "Soul recognition is said to transcend political boundaries," she said, her voice softening. "In ancient times, it often occurred between members of warring clans, forcing them to find common ground. A biological imperative for peace," Theo mused. "Fascinating from an evolutionary perspective." Leora actually laughed then, a sound he suspected few had ever heard. "You respond to mystical connection with scientific analysis. Perhaps we do balance each other. Is that what you believe we are? Balanced halves of something greater?" Instead of answering immediately, she reached for his hand. When their fingers intertwined, the sensation that flowed between them was stronger than before, a current of recognition, of rightness that defied rational explanation. "I believe," she said carefully, "that I was sent to end a threat, and instead found a beginning. Whether it's your soul recognition, or simply two individuals who see beyond the limitations of their respective worlds, the outcome is the same." "And what outcome is that?" he asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "Change," she said simply, "for both our peoples, beginning with us." As their shuttle docked with Captain Niraj's vessel, setting them on a course toward Earth and uncertain futures, Leora and Theo stood at the threshold of something unprecedented, a Navorian commander and a human scientist, bound by forces neither fully understood but both willingly embraced. Behind them, alarms still rang throughout Proxima Station. Ahead, political upheaval and scientific revolution awaited. But in this moment, suspended between worlds, they had found an unexpected truth. Sometimes the greatest discoveries happen not in laboratories or battlefield strategies, but in the space between two beings who dare to recognize each other across the stars. Commander Zorik, watching their departure from Proxima's command center, activated a secure channel to Navorian High Command. "The commander has defected with the human scientist," he reported. "Request permission to pursue." The response came not from military command, but from Regent Durok himself. "Bring them back, alive if possible. The bond must be studied before it is destroyed." "Bond, my lord." "Ancient texts speak of connections that can alter destinies," the regent replied, his voice betraying unusual concern. "If a true bond has formed between them, it represents either our greatest threat or our greatest opportunity." As the pursuit vessels prepared for launch, Neither Leora nor Theo could know that their personal connection had already been recognized as something larger, something that would eventually force both worlds to confront not just scientific truths, but the very nature of connection itself across the vast, uncharted territories of both space and heart.